Hello there, you're watching All 24 News World News Program. I'm your host Islam Said, and these are tonight's top stories. Bolton hints that Trump may rethink Western Sahara stance, calls Polisario terror bid doomed as groups accuse Morocco and the Zionist entity of using cash to justify occupation. Also, in our tonight's headlines, dozens killed and occupation strikes on starving Gazans. Hamas demands ceasefire guarantees and media office warns of forced displacement plan. Coming up as well, Moroccan groups warn of creeping Zionization of public space, crackdown and threats against anti-normalization voices and whistleblowers. And Russia downs Ukrainian drones, captures 2 villages, while Kiev and Washington boost drone production, and Zelensky calls Trump talks most productive. The details shortly. Welcome back to the program. First up in our news tonight, former U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton suggested President Donald Trump could still shift his stance on Western Sahara, calling it Africa's lost colony. In an interview with Spain's El Independiente on Sunday, Bolton noted Trump's past support for international legitimacy in the conflict over the territory occupied by Morocco since 1975.
Trump can reverse the decision if he wants to. I was surprised that the Biden administration didn't change this policy when it came to the White House. And I still believe the United States could say, look, what we organized is a reality, but we still believe there should be a referendum. That's the key point. If you have a referendum, you can solve the issue one way or another. But the Moroccans have come to the conclusion that they can't control the vote. They are worried about the outcome. They don't want to take the risk. The late Senator Jim Inhofe, a Republican member of the Foreign Relations Committee, knew more about Western Sahara than anyone else in the Senate. He spoke with Trump several times about this issue. He supported MINURSO's organization of the referendum. And I think Trump only changed his stance in the context of Abraham Accords toward the end of his first term.
Bolton backed the Polisario Front as the legitimate voice of the Sahrawi people, dismissing Morocco's push to label it as a terrorist group in the U.S. as doomed to fail. In his interview with El Independiente, he also rejected claims that the Sahrawis are susceptible to Iranian influence, pointing to the long-standing U.S. NGOs and religious groups providing aid in refugee camps.
I don't think the US Congress will pass the classification of Polisario as terrorist group. It's a mistake. Even if it passes in the House, it won't pass in the Senate. It's based on allegations that the Polisario has somehow aligned with Iran, Hezbollah and Hamas, which is completely false. There are American non-governmental organizations working in the refugee camps. They operate in the field of education, and some are religious groups, but they provide secular, medical, and educational services. They would immediately detect if there were any Iranian, Hezbollah, or other forms of influence. There is simply no basis for that. It's pure propaganda.
The Sahrawi Observatory for Natural Resources condemned Zionist entities Namid Energy for illegal oil exploration in occupied Western Sahara's waters. In a Saturday statement, it warned of a dangerous collusion between occupation regimes in Palestine and Western Sahara, citing UN reporter Francesca Albanese's report on Morocco's unlawful licensing of the Zionist firm. The group called it colonial complicity to exploit resources and legitimize occupation.
The observatory expresses deep concern over a report by UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese, which revealed that Moroccan occupation authorities granted an illegal license to the Israeli company NewMed Energy, subsidiary of Delek Group, to explore for oil off the coast of occupied Western Sahara. This license is a clear violation of international law, as Morocco has no sovereignty or legal authority over Western Sahara. The observatory warns of the dangerous overlap between the occupation systems in Palestine and Western Sahara. The involvement of an Israeli company in illegal economic activities highlights a dual colonial complicity between the occupying powers in Palestine and Western Sahara, using natural resources to entrench an unlawful reality and avoid accountability.
All right, switching focus to the war on Gaza. Occupation forces shelled and fired explosive bullets from drones at crowds near a U.S.-linked aid distribution point in Rafah, southern Gaza Strip on Sunday, killing 3 Palestinians and wounding others, according to local emergency crews. The attack targeted starving civilians in the besieged enclave as they gathered for food assistance. Similarly, the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza reported Sunday that Zionist forces have killed 751 people and wounded over 4,931 in repeated attacks on civilians waiting for humanitarian aid since the U.S.-backed distribution system started. In the latest violence, 8 were killed and at least 40 others wounded within 24 hours alone after being targeted at 8 centers. The Gaza Government Media Office condemned the involvement of Boston Consulting Group and the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in what it called a U.S. Zionist plot to displace Palestinians under a false humanitarian cover. Citing the Financial Times, the office said the foundation serves as the executive arm of the secret Aurora scheme involving hidden funding, U.S. security firms, and unlawful aid operations. The report also revealed Boston Consulting Group's ties to the project before its partners were expelled. Gaza officials warned that against such schemes, affirming Palestinian steadfastness and rejection of any plans to erase their cause.
A Financial Times investigation reveals that the Boston Consulting Group helped develop a secret plan, Project Aurora, aimed at forcibly displacing over 5,000 Palestinians from Gaza using foreign-funded relocation packages. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, backed by U.S.-Israeli support, is reportedly the operational front for this plan. We strongly condemn these criminal efforts to present forced displacement as a humanitarian solution and hold all involved parties fully responsible. The Palestinian people remain steadfast and will not abandon their rights or land until the full end of Israeli occupation.
Still with Palestine-related news, occupation warplanes struck multiple homes, schools and tents sheltering displaced families across Gaza early Sunday, killing at least 48 people and injuring dozens more. In Gaza City, 20 were killed in 2 home bombings, while 6 died in a school attack. 13 perished in Sheikh Radwan and 6 were killed east of the city. Further south in Khan Yunis, 2 airstrikes hit homes in At-Tufah, killing several. Strikes on tents near Albani Mosque and Al-Mawasi left 8 martyrs, including 5 children and 3 women. Earlier, a tent bombing west of Khan Yunis killed 5, mostly children as well. In central Gaza, 17 were killed in attacks on displacement camps, including 7 from one family. 3 others were killed when a food aid center was bombed north of Deir al-Balah.
We are now facing a real paradox. Those involved in corruption, money laundering, and illicit enrichment are the very ones giving moral lessons to the public. They even dare to attack society and its human rights organizations, despite being deeply entangled in corruption. Your methods will not intimidate us. We will not yield to threats or legal harassment, and we will not allow you to dominate society.
The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza reported Sunday that 80 people were killed and 304 injured in the latest occupation attacks, raising the total death toll to 57,418 since the Zionist aggression began. More than 136,261 have been wounded, with many still trapped under rubble. The World Health Organization reports that more than 10,000 critically ill and wounded patients in Gaza require immediate transfer for medical care, but the occupation continues to block their evacuation. Over 35,000 others face worsening conditions, with many at risk of dying from untreated injuries and illnesses under the ongoing siege. Zafar Jani has the full story now.
She scrolls through an old photo album, remembering what life was like just 3 months ago. Hala Shukri Daliz, a Palestinian girl full of life and innocence, had her world shattered after a brutal Zionist airstrike left her with severe burns on her scalp. The injuries led to painful infections that Gaza's overwhelmed and destroyed hospitals are simply unable to treat.
I'm 12 years old, one of 7 children in a single family. We were displaced from Rafah and now we live in El Mawasi Khan Yunis. I was on a swing when the bombing happened. My hair was torn out. Later, they had to cut it all off. After that, painful sores appeared on my scalp and no one was able to treat me.
Hala still keeps a lock of her hair as a reminder of the life she once knew. Her only hope now is to be allowed to leave Gaza for medical treatment abroad, a hope that remains uncertain amid the siege.
At the hospital, my condition was very bad. The doctors couldn't help me. I asked for a referral to get treatment outside Gaza, but my name still hasn't come up. This is my photo. I used to be very beautiful before the bombing, but when they cut my hair, I felt like my life was over. I'm just a child. What did I do to deserve this?
Then there is Sarah Al-Barsh, another victim of the Zionist assault. Both her arms were amputated following an airstrike. Every day since, Sarah battles to adapt to life without them. She dreams of traveling outside Gaza to be fitted with prosthetic limbs. But that dream remains out of reach. The blockade continues to keep border crossings closed and prevent life-saving medical supplies from entering the Strip.
We were near our home when the house next to us was bombed. I lost consciousness, and when I woke up, my hands were gone. I used to have hands. I used them to brush my hair, to play, to eat and drink. But now I don't have hands anymore. I can't eat on my own. I can't brush my hair without help.
Hala and Sarah are just two among thousands of children in Gaza whose lives have been permanently altered by the war. Many suffer from lasting physical and emotional scars, living in pain, fear and uncertainty. Today, more than 10,000 critically ill patients are in urgent need of medical evacuation. Meanwhile, over 35,000 wounded and sick people continue to suffer, trapped under siege with little access to treatment and no clear path to survival. They are not just waiting for help, they are waiting to live.
On the political front, the ceasefire or the first round of indirect talks between Hamas and occupying Israel held Sunday in Doha ended without a breakthrough, according to Palestinian sources. Hamas's delegation, led by senior official Khalil al-Hayya and accompanied by technical teams, arrived prepared for serious negotiations, including discussions on a prisoner exchange. However, progress was stalled as the Israeli delegation reportedly lacked the necessary mandate to reach an agreement, sources told both AFP and Reuters. For its part, Hamas spokesman Jihad Taha told Al-Aqsa TV the group insists on binding U.S. assurances before accepting any truce agreement, while affirming readiness to discuss Washington's ceasefire proposal. The demand comes as Doha-mediated talks resume this week with no breakthrough. All the way to Morocco now. Moroccan groups accused Makhzen-linked figures of leading smear campaigns to silence anti-normalization voices. The Moroccan Working Group for Palestine said the attacks target its Secretary General Aziz Hannawi and Ahmed Wahman, head of the Moroccan Observatory Against Normalization. The group condemned the campaign, calling the accusations of treason baseless and unjustified.
At a time where Zionist attacks on our peoples and homelands are escalating and frenzied campaigns are being launched to silence voices opposing normalization and hegemony, some nobodies have come out with a weak and hostile discourse attacking two honorable activists, Ahmed Wahman, president of the Moroccan Observatory Against Normalization, and Aziz Hannawi, secretary general of the same observatory.
The Moroccan Association for the Protection of Public Fund warned Sunday that whistleblowers face growing threats from corrupt officials trying to silence them. Association President Mohamed Ghaloussi vowed on Facebook that anti-graft activists won't bow to intimidation, accusing money launderers of increasingly bold attacks on those exposing corruption.
We are now facing a real paradox. Those involved in corruption, money laundering, and illicit enrichment are the very ones giving moral lessons to the public. They even dare to attack society and its human rights organizations, despite being deeply entangled in corruption. Your methods will not intimidate us. We will not yield to threats or legal harassment, and we will not allow you to dominate society.
Moving on to the war in Ukraine, Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday its air defenses intercepted 120 Ukrainian drones overnight, with most shot down over southwestern regions and the Sea of Azov. The reported strikes mark one of Kiev's largest attempted drone offensives in recent months. Russia announced on Sunday the capture of 2 more villages in eastern Ukraine, marking further gains on the front lines. In 2 separate statements on Telegram, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that its forces had taken control of Bidubne in the Donetsk region and Sobolivka in Kharkiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced a new agreement with the United States to boost joint drone production. In a video addressed Saturday, Zelensky said the deal would supply Ukraine with hundreds of thousands of drones this year. The announcement followed a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump a day earlier.
Regarding the conversation with the President of the United States, which took place the day before, it was probably the best conversation we've had during this whole time. Most productive. We discussed air defense issues, and I'm grateful for the willingness to help. Patriot system is precisely the key to protection against ballistic threats. We also discussed several other important matters, which our teams will be working through in more detail in upcoming meetings.
Zelensky described his call with United States President Donald Trump as the best and most productive, noting that they just discussed air defense cooperation alongside the new drone production deal.
In terms of drones, we have also reached an agreement with the American side to significantly increase our joint efforts. This agreement will provide Ukraine with hundreds of thousands of drones as nearly as this year, and special terms, and an even greater number of drones next year. This includes combat drones, which are clearly our priority.
Turning to other news, Algerian Minister of State and Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf arrived in Singapore on Sunday for an official visit aimed at boosting cooperation, particularly in economic and technological sectors. According to the Algerian Foreign Ministry, Attaf will hold talks with his Singaporean counterpart and meet senior officials during the visit. President Abdelmajid Tebboune led a reception at the National Army Club in Beni Messous, Algiers, honoring senior military officials on the 63rd anniversary of Algeria's independence and the restoration of national sovereignty. The event, rooted in army tradition, paid tribute to Algeria's historic milestones and its martyrs. It featured the national anthem by the Republican Guard Band, a documentary titled Victorious Algeria, A Nation of Progress and Loyalty to the Martyrs, and ended with a fireworks display. In a related story, members of the Algerian community abroad commemorated the 63rd anniversary of Independence Day with various activities through which they expressed their pride in Algeria, affirming their attachment to their homeland and their commitment to passing on these noble values to future generations. Salman Asib reports now.
Every
time, members of the Algerian diaspora never missed a chance to express their deep connection to their homeland. Independence Day stands as a powerful reminder of the enduring bond between generations, a proud occasion where they reaffirm their sense of belonging and their hope to see Algeria rise among the great nations of the world.
This evening is a celebration of resilience, unity and pride. We always remember that Algeria lives in our hearts, wherever we are.
For me, this represents the culmination of many years of struggle. It's very important to me, as it's essential that we came together on this occasion and collectively honor this memory. I thank the Algerian state for bringing us together today, students, professors and doctors, to celebrate this wonderful occasion. It gives us the opportunity to network and connect with other Algerians.
Among the diaspora, emotions run deep and complex, combining a longing for their homeland with aspirations to carry forward their ancestors' journey, captured in scenes that reflect pride in the heroic sacrifice of 1.5 million martyrs.
I think this is a very good initiative by the consulate. Sometimes we need to come together, especially us young people, because we will soon carry the torch. I believe it's a wonderful initiative that allows us to celebrate Independence Day on July 5th, and I'm happy to be here.
Algerian Independence Day once again reminds us of the strong bond Algerians share with their homeland and their pride in its proud history. This celebration revives hope for a brighter future built through the efforts of all citizens. It honors past sacrifices and inspires unity and progress toward a better Algeria.
Moving on to a different matter now. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CNN that the Trump administration will notify 100 countries with limited trade ties that high tariffs will soon apply. He expects major trade deals to be announced in the coming days, noting that countries missing the August 1st deadline will face a return to April 2nd tariff levels.
I think what's happened is there's a lot of congestion going into the home stretch, and as part of the trade team, what's great about having President Trump on side is he's created maximum leverage. So by telling our trading partners that they could boomerang back to the April 2nd date, I think it's really going to move things along the next couple of days and weeks.
SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced the launch of a new political party, the America Party, vowing to give back your freedom. The move comes amid his growing criticism of U.S. politicians, especially over the proposed budget bill and debt ceiling hike. Musk revealed the party on his platform X after a poll showed 65% of 1.2 million users supported the idea.
Who is in the gallery tonight?
More international news stories making waves. Here's Sofiane Kantouri in the News in Brief.
Firefighters battle blazed near Athens on Thursday afternoon, where fresh conflagration threatened homes, highlighting Greece's vulnerability to wildfire risks. Wildfires erupted Sunday in Turkey and southern France after a severe heatwave, sending ash across Europe. France, Italy, Portugal, Spain, Croatia and Balkan countries are hardest hit. Deaths and injuries have been reported as temperatures break records. The death toll from floods sweeping through U.S. state of Texas has risen to 59, including 15 children. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick warned that the number could rise further as rescue teams continue searching for missing. At least 21 people were killed and 9 injured after a 5-story residential building collapsed Friday in Liari, Karachi, southern Pakistan. Over 200 rescuers took part in the operation, with teams still searching for survivors. Authorities are also investigating the cause of the collapse.
And that wraps up our news program for tonight. For more updates, you can always check our social media platforms as well as our website. On behalf of all 24 News team, I'm Islam Set. Thank you for tuning in and good night.